Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Denali and I am a full-time reseller on eBay and Poshmark. My store name is ELDUCHO, E-L-D-U-C-H-O, and you can find me on Instagram at ELDUCHO Thrift. So I'm back today with a video on 5 things that you need to think about before going or transitioning to a full-time reseller. So I used to work in human resources, so these are 5 pay-related compensation and benefit things that I think you need to think about before transitioning over to a full-time reseller if you are currently working part-time or full-time for someone else. Obviously if you're not working and you're just transitioning right into reselling, that's your best case scenario because you're only really going up from there. However, if you are somebody who works full-time somewhere and you're like, I want to be a reseller, but what does it take? These are just my thoughts, and this is a very high-level overview. Obviously you need to delve into these subjects a little bit closer, but they're just things that I thought I would point out if you've not thought about them. They are important to pay attention to because, pay and overall compensation, that's huge. Really, that's why we go to work. So there are things that you need to think about, and some are big and more obvious and some are small. Excuse me. So the first thing that I put at the top of my list is your paycheck, right? This is the most obvious. Say that your paycheck is $1,000, after taxes and everything like that. And you're like, okay, well, I need to be making $1,000 a week through reselling to be able to match that. If I want to become a full-time reseller. Sorry, I've got a drink here. I think it's really easy on the surface for people, I'm going to use Poshmark as my example, for people to say, oh, cool, I sell $1,000 a week on Poshmark. I make $4,000 a month. Well, okay, those are maybe your gross sales, okay? So Poshmark takes 20%, so after that 20% is taken, you actually really make $800. So you need to be grossing more than $1,000 to be matching your current paycheck of $1,000 at your regular job at company ABC. Excuse me. Additionally, what are your cost of goods? Now, I shop at the bin, so mine are really low, but I don't know what somebody else pays. Say you pay, to sell $1,000 worth of stuff, you pay $200. Maybe that's really low, but okay, so you sold 1,000, Poshmark takes their cut, you're left with 800. Now your cost of goods, that was 200. So now you're at $600. So we went from saying I make $1,000 a week on Poshmark to I make $600 a week on Poshmark. That's a huge difference, okay? And that's the thing you need to pay attention to because it's easy to look at other resellers, when they, excuse me, when they post their sales and they say, I made X amount of dollars, okay, well, is that their gross sales or their net sales? Because at the end of the day, your net is what matters, okay? And then other things that you need to think about too are taxes. There's sales tax, there's taxes you have to pay at the end of the year. I live in a state where you need to pay sales tax. I live in Washington. I'm not sure if your state does, but you need to look into it if you plan on running a legitimate business. So for instance, what does paying sales tax mean? That means I am supposed to be collecting it on behalf of the state for people who live in my state who are purchasing from me, okay? That was a little wordy. But if somebody in Washington makes a purchase from me, I am supposed to be charging them sales tax or collecting it, and then I report it to the state quarterly, okay? I need to be paying it. So that money, I shouldn't be spending that money. However, if you sell on Poshmark, Poshmark does not collect sales tax. So if you're selling an item for $25, well then, Poshmark takes their cut, you're left with $20. But if that person lives in state, you are responsible for paying sales tax on that purchase. So that just unfortunately needs to come out of your earnings. That's just how it is. But if you'd like to see that change, we should probably make a suggestion to Poshmark. And then there's there's taxes that you need to pay at the end of the year. I recommend hiring a CPA. My dad's my CPA. So that's really nice. But they can answer these bigger questions for you. This is just kind of my high-level overview. So going back to what I was saying about, that $600 that you're netting, that is not the same as that $1,000 net paycheck you're taking home every week. So you really need to think about, okay, so $1,000 gross sales every week, that's not going to cut it for me. I need to be making more money than that. The second thing that I think is really important is medical insurance. That is a benefit that most people are lucky to get through their employer, with varying degrees of how much your employer might cover or pay of your medical insurance. So you need to look at like, okay, well, maybe you pay $100 a month just as a single person with your employer for insurance. Well, that's not actually what insurance costs. That's just the portion that you have to pay. And maybe your employer pays the other, I'm going to say the low end. They pay the other 50%. So maybe the actual cost of insurance is $200, which you might think like, okay, well, $200, that's not so bad. You also have to keep in mind that your employer is getting a group rate based on how many people work at your company. So that group rate is not going to be available out on the marketplace. So you need to go look at the marketplace. I believe it's healthcare.gov. Hopefully I said that right, healthcare.gov. And you need to look at what the cost of insurance is going to be for you. Most people unfortunately find out that it's a little bit higher. I mean, just in general, insurance is expensive. We're lucky that it's now available to everyone, regardless of pre-existing conditions. If you are a younger person, that didn't used to be the case. I know that's shocking to hear, but you actually were uninsurable. But anyways, so it's important that you go and look at what the cost of insurance is going to be for you every month, because you might have to take a dip in coverage. Maybe you're used to really great coverage. Maybe you're going to have to get a higher deductible plan. So again, things to think about, are there any subsidies available to you? And if there are, keep in mind that most of them come as a tax credit at the end of the year. So while it might say that you're available for some amount of, a tax benefit or subsidy or whatever, you really aren't going to see that till the end of the year. So keep in mind, you really are paying the full price every month. And lastly, dental. People think, oh, okay, well, I went on the exchange and I bought health insurance. Well, that doesn't cover dental. So dental is going to be extra. You're going to have to go and find a private dental insurer. So if dental coverage is important to you, and it should be, that's another cost that you're going to have to pay. Okay, so my third item is your retirement fund. So if you are currently participating in a 401k plan with your employer, you might want to roll that over. I think, not all 401k plans require that you roll over. Some you can leave with them, and you can keep your money there and it will continue to vest and grow. I'm not sure if I'm using all the right terms there, but you can, decide to roll it over if you want. You could start an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. I wrote this down. There's 4 different types of IRAs. There's traditional, simple, Roth, and SEP. And basically an IRA is a range of financial products like stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. So you'll want to start investing there. You might want to set up a schedule like, well, I'm going to, give $100 every week to my IRA, or $100 a month, or whatever's going to work for you. But just keep in mind that you're not having that benefit of a 401k anymore, or especially if your employer participated in some sort of like profit sharing, which can be really nice. But yeah, so saving for retirement, that's a big one. The fourth one that I wrote down is paid time off or vacation. So how are you going to account for this? Were you currently getting it, or are you currently getting it at your job? What do you get? Do you get a week? Do you get 2 weeks? Do you get 3 weeks? Do you get 4 weeks? Yeah, some people get 4 weeks, which is super awesome. So how will you account for this through the year? I mean, if you get 2 weeks of paid vacation every year and you know that you need to be netting $1,000 every week, that's an extra $2,000 throughout the year. So you really need to be netting more than $1,000 a week to kind of cover that week. Now, it's true that you can, for instance, on eBay, you could take a trip and just extend your handling time, and you could still be selling and making sales through those days. But with an extended handling time, that may affect a buyer and their desire to purchase from you. So you may lose out on some sales. So you might not be getting as high sale numbers as you're used to. Or if you're on Poshmark and you want to put your store on vacation, that's just no sales then, right? Like, bam, that whole week is just gone. You will not be making money. So you need to think about how you're going to be accounting for your paid time off through the year. And my last and fifth and final thing that I think you need to think about is just other fringe benefits. So there's lots of like small little benefits that you kind of don't take into account until you're gone from a job. And a lot of times, actually, just as somebody who used to work in HR, these are a lot of benefits that aren't always taken advantage of. And so if you are currently employed somewhere, you should find out about all the little fringe benefits your employer offers. But excuse me, but there's other fringe benefits like sick leave. Now, some states do mandate this now. However, if you don't have it, that sucks. But if you do have it, just keep in mind that there's no more paid sick days. You just work. And, maybe you have disability insurance. I know some states have mandatory, paid maternity leave, which is great. But if you were going to have a baby, how are you going to make money during that time? You can buy disability insurance, I believe, without a group plan, I want to say. I know there's companies like Colonial and Aflac, where you can buy, I don't know if you can buy disability, but there's other types of insurance that you can buy for yourself, like accident prevention, or not accident prevention, but accident insurance. And I feel like they offer dental and some other stuff. Excuse me. Maybe your current employer gives you like a fitness or gym incentive through the year. Like maybe they give you $100 a year towards your gym membership. So that's going to be gone. Maybe they give you, free lunches once a week. That's going to be gone. But that's just one more meal you're going to have to pay for, right? In your week. Tuition reimbursement or continuing education. I'm like, those are kind of the same thing, but, so those are things that, obviously you won't be in that career path anymore, so that might not be really a concern. If you like volunteering and you are getting paid to volunteer through your work, that's just time out of your life that obviously you want to continue to volunteer, but it's not going to be considered like a paid work day like it was before. Or even I think of like some employers will match donations. So if you were somebody who likes to make donations to a nonprofit and you were getting that matched through your employer, that's no longer going to be available. And then other like employee shopping portals. I know places that I've worked at have had like employer shopping portals where I could like go and book tickets for vacations, like buy tickets to Disneyland, and it was all at a discounted rate. You could book a hotel room and all that sort of stuff at a discounted rate. So all of that stuff's gonna be gone. So those are my 5 points I want to talk about: your paycheck, your medical, your retirement, your paid time off, and then other fringe benefits that you're not thinking about, but oh yeah, those do exist and you've used them. Those are 5 things I just think you need to think about before going full time. And I don't say those as a deterrent for not going full time. I just know that when I wanted to go full time, these are, not answers. I don't feel like I'm giving you an answer, but these are just questions that I think you need to answer for yourself, because there is no clean-cut answer, right? There is no one-size-fits-all on how much money do you need to be making to become a full-time reseller. That's so case by case, right? Because I'm married and I have a son. My cost of living is going to be different than somebody who's single or somebody who has 2 or 3 kids, right? Or even if you took me, my little family of 3, my cost of living is different than somebody who lives in Kentucky, right? What I need to make is different than what somebody in Kentucky needs to make. So since it's so individualized, there is a very broad answer for how much money do I need to go full time. So anyways, I encourage you, my dog is trying to leave me now. I encourage you to think about, hello. I encourage you to think about these 5 things because they are important, and going full-time is not to be taken lightly. It's a fun and awesome job. I love reselling. I have no regrets on my decision to go full-time. However, it can be a big financial adjustment if you are not financially prepared for it. So that's all I got. With that, I guess I do want to ask, you know, what do you think, if you're part-time, what questions or concerns do you have regarding this subject that you want answered? And then if you are full-time, what are some things that you think people need to think about that I possibly didn't name? And then additionally, if you could help me answer questions that people might have, because I do think you need a well-rounded opinion on what everybody thinks. So anyways, that's my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. All right, I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.